Let me quickly explain. Here is the London sugar slavery part, which is in Docklands Museum. Now here you have all the names of the boats, name of the ship, how much the boats weighed, tons, the captain, for example, Captain Anderson, some of you have surnames. Then you have the principal owner of the boat, the principal owner like John McNabb. It cleared port, meaning it left London, for example, in 1790, then embarked enslaved Africans, Gambia, Cape Coast, which is in Ghana. Unknown number of enslaved Africans, some of them known. So you've got numbers like 200, 160, 239. You can determine how much people are on there by the weight of the boat. Now, not only enslaved Africans, most of the destinations from Africa would be Jamaica, St. Vincent, Dominica, Grenada. Name of the ship. Names of ship would be like Eagle, Iris, Concord, Mary Duke, Fly, Gambia, Nancy Queen, Concord, Prince Rattler. The names of the boats often came from people whom they admire, or for example, John McNabb, or for example, this Isabella. Name of the ships were named after beloved ones some of the time. Hold on. So sticking to the captain, you have captains of the boats. See if you can recognize any of the surnames, some of your family. Yeah. Principal owner, yet again, you got ownership. These are companies. Maybe you can check out some of the surnames to see if any of their descendants are still alive and get your check. And we're not here just to be angry and say, oh, we want reparations. No, this is how you get it. This is the evidence. Where did it go? Jamaica. Jeremy Corbyn said, hey, we owe a lot to Jamaica. Didn't he not say that? So there it is. Names, dates, weights, number of cargo or enslaved Africans. Yes, all detailed. Sugar, slavery, same thing. Very briefly, so the movie Pirates of the Caribbean, a lot of pirates were absolutely against slavery and went against the British Navy. You can see some of these punishing tools that they'll use to punish pirates was to serve as a warning to anyone that rebelled against the crown, as detailed in Pirates of the Caribbean. Now in Jamaica, there's a term called crosses. Why? Because when the indigenous people saw this, they saw crosses on the mosque. Crosses. 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 Yeah? And these were the indigenous of the Caribbean. They treated them as friends. They came as pilgrims. Some of them with these tricorn and Quaker-like hats. Not everyone directly came from Africa. We were already in the Americas. Gotta stop calling all our people under one term, the indigenous to the earth. So check this out. The king at his own expense liberally maintaineth here great numbers of doctors, judges, priests, what are we under, and other learned men. There are manuscripts or written books brought hither out of Barbary, which are sold for more than money, other than other merchandise. Instead of money, they use gold bars. And the gold came from Ghana, the Gold Coast. Okay.
That's in Ghana, isn't it?
This is, Ghana, Cape Coast Castle. So you've got Amina Castle, Cape Coast Castle. Place of no return. Other kingdom, warring tribes were seen as overseers to hold us in this place. There you go. See? And by 1600s, the London slave trade was active. By the late 1600s, London's slave trade activity on the west coast of Africa was organized by the Royal African Company. By 1715, the company was replaced by the Company of Merchants Trading to Africa. Bought and support of number of local African merchants and rulers. African merchants and rulers. They acquired captive. The African merchants and rulers, they acquired captive people from the interior. And assembled them for sale at the coast. Africans collaborating in the trade also organized workers to maintain the company's forts so people want to say that we hate our brothers and sisters, forts and canoemen, we saw the boat, didn't we, to carry the people and supplies from shore to ship, just like in routes. African sailors were also recruited to supplement the crews of slave ships. So in other words, not only they got us from the interior, they got other black people on the actual slave ships. As trade became more profitable, it fostered a new African elite in the coastal areas and contributed to destructive divisions in African society. What are you telling me? So people want to say we hate. We're just speaking the truth. Other Africans were involved in the slave trade, fam. So we're going to ask a check from the African governments. We're going to ask a check from the British government, the Portuguese government, the Spanish government, the French. Everybody is going to write a check. Everybody's pockets are going to get pat down. Yay! London was the fourth biggest slave trading port in the world after the Brazilian ports of Rio de Janeiro and Bahia and Liverpool. Yeah? Its slavers were actively involved in many different commercial ventures, which all contribute to, guess where, drum roll, to the city and the nation's prosperity. Over 3,100 ships departed from London. I want to know where these ships are. To carry nearly 1 million Africans into slavery. At the end of the 1600s, London's Royal African Company, which is where you get Elephant Castle from, had a virtual monopoly of Britain's slave trade. Within 50 years, individual London merchants had taken it over. Listen to this. They were helped by being a part of the close commercial network that meant that banks, insurance companies, shipbuilders, and brokers all participated in and benefited from the trade, Taras. An incalculable portion of London's wealth, business, and buildings was founded on the profits of slavery. They're going to cut the check today. We want to know who those insurance companies are, the shipbuilding companies are, the brokers, the banks. What are those commercial networks? See?
Business.
These are the guys that are responsible, the Corporation of London. No country is a country, everything is a corporation. DuPont. See?
It's sugar refinery in Wapping.
Wow. Yeah, sugar. That's where the Tate sugar, yeah, in Wapping. So here you have it.
What comes under the East Indies?
East Indies. So here we have. In 17th century, Camden and Calvert. I'm sure that's where Camden Town's named after. So for those of you paying your council tax at Camden, maybe you want to check this out. I told you every single borough is named after these slave owners. Camden and Calvert were joined by Thomas King, another ship's master. See, now we're going to with the shipping companies, who was trading enslaved Africans. King was member of Lloyd's Insurance and became more involved in finance. There you are. Right. Between them, William Camden, Anthony Calvert, Thomas King had a wide range of commercial interests in London around the world, like East India. Camden, again Camden Town maybe, Calvert and King, I wonder if that's who King's College is named after, and King became London's biggest slave trading company. And what does it say up here? That London was the fourth biggest slave trading port in the world after Brazilian ports of Rio de Janeiro and Bahia, thank you, and Liverpool, where there's a museum up there. Its slavers were actively involved in many different commercial ventures, these bastards there. And so here you have, again, during the 1700s, Britain was the leading slave trading nation. And half of all Africans transported across the Atlantic into slavery were carried in slave ships. So from London, chief architects of slavery Britain, boom, to West Africa with the help of some African nations, boom, to the Caribbean, to South America, the biggest population of Africans outside of Africa, or black people. Only 3 to 6% of enslaved Africans were made slaves in North America. There already was black people in North America. Stop this nonsense that every black American comes from Africa, because that's not true. Stop that. And that goes for us here too, from the Caribbean. Yes, stop this nonsense. This is the transatlantic slave trade, which began from Yassa to there. As we leave, just to say that all of these are names of companies. We keep telling you corporations, names of companies. These are all companies. Your people, ancestors are known as goods. Goods, they're not goods, they're more than goods. These are all companies. Every single country is a company. We keep saying this. Okay.